Hello there, gorgeous viewers. How are you doing today? Are you well? Are you comfortable? Do you feel a little warm underneath the collar yet? Well, if you don't, you will by the end of the session, I hope. We will have succeeded if we and done our job as performers and such if we have managed this, because you are here with us today for the premiere session of our Thirsty Sword Lesbians campaign here, The Severed City. This is taking place in a homebrew world of my own creation, one that I have been working on at last check for about 5-6 years now. I have put a lot of time into this world, and this is basically, I think, the 5th era I've had people run through it. And my players for this nice experiment into chaotic thirsting and lesbian present lesbian forward, present, and adjacent material. I'm so looking forward to all of you getting to see their lovely characters. But before we get into that, we need to let you all get a sense of who these fantastic people are. So I'm going to go around at random popcorn style so that you can all have a small bit of trepidation as I call on people to give your name, character name, pronouns, and the playbook you'll be having fun with throughout our entire series here. So I'm going to start with the incomparable Hummelu.
Oh, it's me. Hi. I am Emma, or Hummelu on the internet. I use she, they pronouns. I am bringing to you today Daisy, who uses any, all, fluid between them, and they are the Trickster playbook.
Fantastic. And now we move on to what can only be, who can only be described as a delight, a radiance, a joy, Sagaya. My words are hard today. Sagaya.
Hello.
Go, take
yes,
it away.
I'm Sakaya.
Sagaya.
My pronouns are she, her, and today I'm going to be playing Sister Solana, who uses she, they pronouns. And my playbook is devoted, and I'm a very good girl.
Clip that part, everybody, and set to check back in a couple. I want to say 7 sessions, but let's go with 3, just to be safe. Next up, the hopefully soon to be brooding, wonderful butch extraordinaire that is our own Percival.
Hi, I'm Percival, pronouns he, she, and they, and I will be playing Chitrangada, pronouns he, she, using the infamous playbook.
And last, but certainly not least, in our minds or in my heart, the wonderful Porna.
Thank you. I am Burna M on the internet. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing Olivia, pronouns she, they, and the playbook I will be imposing on you all is the Dream Mirror.
And for those of you who don't know me, hello there, lovelies. My name is Angela Lemos Mogrovejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be the gay master here for this fantastic series and facilitating what will hopefully be new fan favorites that if one of you creates fan fiction for them or fan art, I will love you forever. That is all I ever aspire to get in any of my campaigns is fan art or fan fiction. I know I am a cheap date when it comes to making me happy in regards to TTRPG stuff. But before we continue into the official series, I have prepared a statement that I have checked in with my players in the channel in regards to reading for anyone who's tuning in right now to sort of just lay out a lot of where I'm coming from with the design of this world in this particular iteration and this era of its existence. So without further ado, thank you to everyone who is taking the time to tune in today for our show. I have nothing but excitement regarding the tale we will tell and create together as a table. Stories have a power to shape the fabric of what we believe possible, of the lives we believe should take center stage in the narratives we wish to survive and cherish. Because of this, I want to acknowledge the inspiration behind not only this iteration of my world, but also my intent behind the setting as a whole. As you may or may not be aware, there are a myriad of atrocities occurring all over the world. To act as though such events have not influenced the world building we as a table have done would be naive at best and creatively disingenuous at worst. This era of the world of Agni is very much an era of refugees, displacement, and upheaval, regardless of the lighthearted tones we adopt during play. Such stories are the heart of diasporic world building, and in many ways the heart of what it means to speak of that great human impulse, finding home. Some homes have always been a sanctuary from the world. Some are whispered about in hushed tones as prayers for the queer and disillusioned. Some are born from the small shelters we find away from calamity, while others never leave us so long as we share space with our beloved. Our stories are born of love and hatred, of opportunism and community, of those who profit in misery, and those who sacrifice all for justice. Do not avert your eyes simply because the solace some seek makes you uncomfortable. Instead, stay and listen for a moment, or perhaps more. We hope you will enjoy the story we create for you now. Even should the world be fictional, the impulses we speak to are real. Alive art still has the power to fight oppression. Whether you acknowledge that power is up to you, dear viewers, to discover. May you discover entertainment and dream of better worlds through our story, my lovelies. So, that is a statement that I have prepared in advance for anyone who is tuning in and wants to know sort of what has motivated and inspired all of this. And with all of that out of the way, let us plunge ourselves into what is known as the 11th kindling or era of the world of Agni. We come into a world born of flame, a world in which a divine bird, a radiant phoenix, split its very essence in two and breathed life into all of reality. Across many eras, across many realms, its lifeblood spread across various places. And one of those places, the center of all reality in a way, is known as Agni. On the eastern coastline of this continent, of this world, lies a metropolitan city to match the greatest that have ever existed in our world's history, taking up the entire eastern coastline, bordered on its western perimeter by a massive mountain range that is colloquially only referred to as a warrior's downfall. A sprawling metropolis spreads out, taking on appearance that for our world would be best described somewhere between North African, Mediterranean, and just a lot of coastal city sort of literally building into the rising slopes and cliffs of Agni's eastern coastline. Tall walls with massive, ancient, draconic beings perched atop them, separating the three massive rings that define this city's sections, and in many ways define who has power in certain locations, structure much of this city. The city that has gone by many names across its history: the First Kiln, the City of First Flame, the origin point of magic. But up until recently, it had another name: the Severed City. A place that had often, by geography, but at times by politics as well, chosen to stay out of the matters of the rest of the continent until just a few years ago, a crash occurred all across the plains of the elements. Massive upheavals of fire, of air, of water, and earth caused calamity across all the realms. And this city found itself with new people coming in. Those born of fire, those born of air, those born of water and earth. And in a way, Backfire could not stay the way that it used to be, detached and severed from the affairs of the rest of the continent. And so, over the past couple of years, it has brought in and made homes for many a displaced soul and many a displaced family looking to find safety away from the calamities that have overtaken their homeland. And it is this era and this climate, a few years after the initial calamities have occurred, that we find ourselves with a curious group of individuals coming from different backgrounds, of different persuasions, whether it be in temperament, views on morality and such, or just chaotic inclinations. We begin in a community center, and I believe the group had said it was the middle ring, correct? We go into Daisy, would you say you would have just collapsed on like a couch or somewhere, or would it have been an actual room that you have in the community center?
An actual room that they tend to frequent. It's maybe up in the roof, in the rafters. It probably didn't originally have a purpose of a room until Daisy decided to take it over. And now it's become a little nest for them almost.
You see, you find yourself awakening from your rest and find that there is a bed in the middle of a forest. You see a short distance away that there is a feminine form of some kind, but it looks almost like it is a old tree with various roots that have grown out from underneath a resplendent dress of greens and browns.
Do I feel any recognition in this female form, or are they new to me?
Oh, you've seen her once before you came to Backfire. But for the audience's benefit, as you get up from bed and are looking around, what would the camera be seeing at this moment as we peer into this little moment?
Yes. Rising from the bed and in one of perhaps many forms, who knows how many there are, we see of an average height around 5'6", seems elven, with fairly pale skin and a sort of minty green hair, if you will. A form that feels existing between genders and probably wearing some manner of light, comfortable to move in clothing currently.
You see the form just walk away a bit.
I will go scampering after it. It's the scientific term.
There is a few tree stumps nearby in a clearing, and you see that the individual has sat down. Again, this very resplendent, yet seemingly still very practical dress. And as the individual turns to look, you see, you hadn't noticed before, the hair is a mass of curls. Just, we're talking the kind that, like, if you ever take a shower, it'll take you about like 2 hours to get it actually under control. I have no experience with this whatsoever. King Harry doesn't want to cooperate. But the curls are like wreaths of trees, and there's mixtures of the kind of faded it's not quite like off-white, but the faded kind of colorations of almost like yellow, like you'd see on book pages. The skin turns as the hair sort of descends into the face, more into rich browns. And you see that for wherever you can see bare skin, at first glance, it would be almost like varicose veins or just like everything around the body, but you see that it looks like there's words that are making up the veins entirely, just swirling everywhere around this person's face.
Did you bring me here?
I figured I would.
It's been a long time.
How are the stories treating you?
Very well. Some have really borne fruit, I suppose.
That's so
I-
lovely to hear.
I enjoy my work.
I wasn't sure if you did. You'd seemed a bit distracted lately.
Oh. Well, I suppose things have been becoming a little difficult in places. I'm busier than ever, I suppose. I've missed you.
I've missed you as well. It's nice to get to talk with you. Though, may I ask something?
Of course, Elspeth, whatever you need.
Are you happy with the stories?
Yes, I'm happy with what I'm weaving. What gives you the impression I might not be?
Well, I was just curious. Many of them aren't your stories. Are you unhappy with your story?
uh, I suppose my story is to weave the story of others.
Doesn't sound like you're happy with your story, though. That's not the question I asked. And you see, like that, while it's been very gentle and very soft, there is a kind of look that can really only best be described in the eyes of this individual as piercing, like cutting right through to the core of you. Like they're basically asking you, are you happy not focusing on your story?
I mean, who can really define happy? I'm enjoying myself. Is that not happy?
I suppose so. I'm still trying to figure out what a story's supposed to mean, if it's supposed to be for ourselves or for everybody.
Well, they all interlink and weave and touch against each other. A story can mean many things to each individual who views it.
Can a story mean anything to you if you run away from your own story?
um I suppose I hadn't thought of it that way.
Maybe food for thought. They really are nice. And you see her hands have outstretched, and it's like the veins, the words that have formed her veins stretch outwards, and they look like they're forming a book that, for all the different color palettes and all the different looks that you know that you have, every single palette has been used to make the pages. And it looks as though she doesn't mean other people's stories. She's looking at your stories, at you. And you see right as she tells you, I really think you should take a look. And right as she's about to hand it to you, you feel a thwack on the back of your head. Daisy, are you going to get up anytime soon?
What? Not if I'm not asked nicely.
Oh, do you want me to do this nicely, or do you want me to actually get you up so you can have some damn breakfast? You
Say
see,
more.
You see there is despite it coming from a presence that it is a presence in voice and posture that is significantly bigger than the individual who is using said voice. They are at max about 3'10".
Okay.
Somewhere in the range of like dwarf and halfling, if you had to have like a reference. And the individual has a very thick braided beard and is just sort of looking down at you like, food?
Yeah. Food. Would love it. Thank you so much.
Good.
Is this one of the people that I know to keep the
Yes.
community center?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm gonna
I'm pulling up a name for you to have.
Okay. Daisy will move so that they can sit up and untangle themselves from two people. And sort of stretch their arms out. I hope you've cooked a lot. I'm quite hungry.
Yes. Whenever you stay here, I have to cook for at least 2 or 3 other people. Sort of rolls her eyes. You would know this individual. Her name is Macy. Maisie.
I'm sorry, Macy and Daisy?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Deal with it. Enjoy it.
Macy, I love you. Thank you. I appreciate you and everything that you do. I hope you know that.
I do. You love me the appropriate amount, which is quite a lot.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
just
very
sort of
welcome.
like carries on, and you see she kind of more gently pokes the other 2 individuals, which I will say in this instance, you have a very, very lanky Triton-esque individual who looks as though they have braided their hair with various seashells and such to keep it in order. Or at least you knew them to be doing this. Their hair is currently a mess right now. And the other individual is well, it best be described as yeah, let's go with this. Very devilish or fiendish looking elf femme. Much taller than you.
Yeah, that tracks. Yep.
And is just sort of there, just waking up, like has done the creepy like vampire rising from a bed thing of like the eyes just sort of snap. They don't slowly open up, they just sort of like appear open all at once.
So breakfast is served.
Did I hear mention of breakfast?
Lots of it. You've earned it. It's good. Okay.
Tired speech pattern, very slow and languid.
Well,
her appearance is very
ready.
dainty. Her voice and mannerisms are very goth gal.
Love it. Whenever you're ready. And I'm just gonna untoggle myself further, kind of curl roll out of the bed, stretch, pull on something that feels presentable, my boots, and just dawdle on down myself.
Yes. You would hear coming excitedly a bit after you, the Triton individual who has a
Mm.
much higher pitched and peppier voice, has the kind of energy that you're like, if you know a morning person, I'm not even
Yes.
going to specify any morning person, just a morning person.
Yes.
All of you know who you are. I'm looking at basically all of you who cause me to have to adapt to your schedules all the fucking time. Learn to stay up, learn to be of the night like I've become. Although to be fair, I'm also a shut-in, so there's that too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Aida. I'm looking at you. But you would see, you would smell actually that there appears to be actually some on a stove a bit away in the like, it's a kitchen that pumps out way more food than it has any right to be doing. Like, it's small and it's fairly cramped, but it's so much more food comes out of this place than you would realize. There is a massive pot there that you'd see. Macy is currently working on yeah, let's have the pair of them working on this. It looks as though there's oats that are being cooked with milk and water, and then there's like, you see her like fussing with like trying to add the correct amount of salt to it to make sure it tastes right. And then you see her getting out a few bits of a few jars that have sugar, some jam, some fruit. And then you see a bit of honey. And then you see another individual who yeah, let's go with dark skin, silver haired, sort of like elven, almost fey-like kind of appearance. This individual who you would know by the name of Aisha, Ayesha, Aisha, who is sort of like working on another pot as well and like fussing over something. It looks as though there's some kind of oatmeal that's in there that has some kind, it looks like maybe bacon or like fatback or some kind, like something heavy with fat, maybe even like pork, where the fat is being like cooked out of it, rendered out of it, and there's onions and seasonings being fried into that as well. That she's just in the middle of cooking, and you see her like throwing daggered stares over at Macy because she's like slowly reaching over to get the salt, and Macy, without even looking back, she looks like she's talking to a child. If you touch that, Aisha, I will actually kill you this time.
Yeah. I giggle as I steal a bread roll that may have been sitting around, put it behind my back, and then just start eating it
You
while I
have to
wait for
dodge a spoon ladle that comes your way from Macy. She's like, have you eaten actual food yet?
No, but I'm going to, and it smells delicious. Can I just say, this is incredible.
That's not the question I ask. Have you eaten actual food yet?
Not yet.
No.
I am waiting until I am told it's the appropriate time.
Okay, good. You know how to listen. That's I thought your hearing had been compromised entirely.
Not in the slightest.
Well, you certainly know how to make a lot of noise. And then she just walks away.
I am sorry.
She just walks away back to the stove. While you are sitting down with your two companions from the previous evening, let's move camera focus over to a nearby market. Sun is out, bright and shiny. There is kind of a cool breeze that's coming in, but it's not quite enough to be like a cold, piercing chill, but it's enough to be like, oh, I can smell the sea and everything around it. And we find ourselves amidst some various stalls with a rather tall and, correct me if I'm wrong, a mildly imposing woman by sole nature of size. Sister Zolana, would you please introduce, give us a rundown of what does our camera see as we move over to look at you?
So Sister Solana is tall. She's about 6'2", quite imposing. She has a very serious face most of the time, but she loves her morning market visits. So she's a bit more flushed of cheeks and she's got an excited sort of smile on her face. She's dressed in her vestments, so she hasn't got her armor on today. So a red hooded robe with a white sash and sandals. And she's in a hurry. She's got 2 baskets one under each arm, full to the brim with various fruits. And she has a stone in her sandal and she's trying to kind of flick it out, but not stop. So she keeps kind of limping and hopping and flicking her foot. And she knows a lot of people here, so she's waving and smiling and calling out names to people, kind of hurrying on her way to the community center.
I'm curious, is Sister Solana the type who would have so for example, my dad is the kind of person who he used to have a strawberry person he would talk to. He knows a shoe person he would go to get discounts on his shoes. He knows like mechanics people you'd go to. Is Sister Solana kind of have that kind of rapport with people where even if she doesn't talk to them that much, they've known her long enough that they're like, I give you the discount because I don't like any of the rest of these people.
Absolutely, yes. Because being one of the younger sort of sisters of the chapel, she is tasked a lot with sort of bringing things in for the people who are staying there, you know, food and otherwise. So she sees a lot of vendors. She visits them often, and they appreciate the good work that she does. So, you know, that's a plus for her.
Let's say you have a vendor, a very only about, let's say 5'6" roughly in the range. Let's go with Transmask. Yeah, let's go with Transmask. Let's think somewhere in the range of like orcish individual. Voice carries much louder than the form that is there. This is a running theme of this game, is that you'll meet a lot of folks who small size, voice much big. And you would know them as Rory. You've known them by a couple of different names because they seem to change name very often, but the most recent one is Rory, and is like, Sister Zalana, you almost forgot something, and bringing, like, nearly trips over himself. And you see that there is a case of what seems like sweets of some kind. It looks almost like they're made of like sugar, condensed milk, and butter that's been kind of crystallized to be akin to like a hard candy.
Hey, Rory.
Hello.
What have you got there?
I did manage. So my boyfriend and I have been putting a little bit more time into working here. He's been very sweet, and he managed to get me just a small container of these. We like them for ourselves, but we know that the kids love having these.
Rory. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. How much do I owe you?
Oh, you don't owe me anything. Don't worry.
No, don't be silly.
Okay, fine. And like passes over. It gives you the expected amount for it, passes it over. It's like, would you possibly some evening like to come over for dinner at our place by any chance? I know you were quite busy with all the things with the temple and such, but would you be interested? We haven't hosted anyone, and we figured we'd try and host a friend. I mean, that might be presumptuous in assuming that we're friends and all of this. We've talked a fair bit, but
it sounds. Who's cooking? You or
partner? My partner.
Absolutely. I'd love to come round.
That I'm not the cook of the two of us. Samuel has always been much better.
It was fine. It was fine. It was a very bold attempt.
No one's ever called me bold before.
Oh, you're bold, Rory. I'll give his cheek a little.
My day has been made. Praise the loving guardian. And like walks away, and you see, to anyone who had been passing by, you see that there's this little necklace that he seems to carry around his neck, that it looks like it's a pair of arms crossed over a heart. And that's seemingly a mix of silver, gold, and bronze, and just sort of holding it close. It is one of many different symbols that people use across the city for the loving guardian, the fantastic deity to whom you have sworn quite a lot of reverence and devotion to.
Almost everything.
Almost everything. Like, did you give up this? Yep. Did you give up that? Yep. What about this? Oh, I gave that up first.
Well, Solana's favorite thing in the world is fruit, and she's had to give up fruit. And she's got 2 baskets of fruit under her arms. She just keeps looking at, holding back the tears.
Are you certain you don't want to try one of those? You see a this is for the Baldur's Gate people. You see a roughly like 7.5-foot tall individual with extremely deep red orange skin, a pair of horns that are curved, pair, not a singular one, and you see woman is built like a tank if ever there was one, and is just sort of like crossing her hands. How's it going, sister? And you would know this. You would know her by Liara. Go with that. Her name is Liara.
Oh, hi, ow! I tread on the stone and kind of like kick my sandal to one side. Yara, hi. What you up to? And no, I wouldn't. Would you? And I hold a basket out.
Would you like help with that, sister?
No, I'm fine. Thank you. Very kind of you to offer, but I've got it.
Oh, I didn't mean the baskets. You look like you're nearly salivating at the mouth there. Is that me or is that the fruit?
Solana goes bright red. And she's not very good at quick comebacks. So she like makes a big thing about the shoe in her sandal and distracts herself by like trying to dislodge it. I've got this gosh darn stone in my there we go. I think I got it. What were you saying? Fruit. No, I'm fine. I gave it up. It was easy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Gave it all up. And I kind of look at Liara up and down.
She
Yeah.
does wanna, she like puts arms behind her back, and of course, because of the gesture, it's very clear how fucking ripped this woman is.
Right. So here. Have an apple. I'm late. I've got to get to the community centre. Lovely to see you. I hurry off.
She's like, don't be a stranger, sister.
It's so warm this morning.
Like two gay to function, two gay to pray, two gay to deny sin. There, you walk in and you see Daisy has sat down with 2 other individuals. You have no idea who either of these people are. This is not an
Macy,
uncommon occurrence.
Macy, have you given food to Daisy yet? Put the fruit down.
You do see Aisha just come over, who again is a very tall woman, comes over, and you see, oh, you got all the fruits that I needed as well. Thank you. It's nice to know that someone can be reliable with getting everything.
Some of them are for the children, so
Don't worry. I'll be certain. I'm making an almond and walnut cake later that I think they will also enjoy as well. But I need some of these because I have to start very early in the morning to get to work on this recipe. And you hear from a bit of distance away Macy going, it doesn't take you that long to make it. And he's like, it does if you want it to be done with skill, unlike what you do. And then just sort of carries on, like has the most scathing look towards Macy, but towards you immediately reverts back to the like very respectful and like keeping full posture sort of self.
you've got to be nicer. She works very hard, Aisha.
Of course she does. She's extremely competent, a very good chef, and I have known her for about 40 years now, and she has always been, if nothing else, but impeccable at everything that she does. She's just a maddening and frustrating woman as well.
You both make incredible food, I say, with a mouthful of food on my second bowl.
Did you get jelly? Did she remember to give you any jam to go along with that?
Yep. It's delicious.
Yeah, and then you see the Triton fellow just sort of pops up. Yes, it's quite nice. I've been so happy getting to try it. Like Daisy has just taken me out at several different occasions, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And I've never eaten such delightfully home cooked meal. It's like just keeps going for like a good minute, and you kind of almost like you see Aisha just at one point just kind of have to put a hand on his mouth and just kind of go, "Dear, no."
You're so eager. I love that about you. Eating.
Well, yeah.
While Aisha's distracted, I go and sneak Maisie one of Rory's sweets. Come on, quick, take one while she's not looking. Who says I
You're
can't
an
sin?
absolute. I see you've chosen a favorite. I knew it would be me.
You're all my
Sort of.
favorites.
Words say one thing, actions say another. Just walks back to the kitchen.
Smiler.
Yep. And you do see, despite all the grief that Macy seemed to be giving Aisha earlier, there is something that it looks as though she's been in the midst of getting preparation for. That it looks as though it's almost like she's begun boiling some lamb and chicken and frying vegetables, and you see that there is a massive container that you've seen this happen before, that they will take turns, the two of them layering rice, meat, vegetables, rice, meat, vegetables, like multiple times, and then eventually flip it over to actually form the finished dish. And then they'll often top it with bits of like fried slivered almonds, and occasionally when they can get it, yogurt as well.
Oh, it smells so good in here.
She always tells me we need to put a fifth layer on this. We only need 4. Perfectly fine with 4. You get to enjoy more of the almonds and the yogurt when you only have it with 4, but fine.
Well, 5 is probably a good idea, considering you seem to be feeding more and more people every day.
The lower ring has been having some. This is Macy talking. The lower ring has been having some difficulties as of late, and I'll probably have to send you over to talk to a few of my friends to see if they can give me an update on how things are going.
Of course, my dear.
We've had another swath of people come in. Looks as though a few more folks have lost their homes from the water plane.
It's difficult. It's a terrible time. We're overflowing at the chapel, but we need to help. Do what we can.
You can't be this delightful all the time. It sets a standard that's too high for the rest of us to try and follow. Swear, for Christ's sake. I don't know who that is, but I've been told in legend that it's an expression people use.
Just because I gave you a sweet.
Yes, it's because you gave me a sweet. No one gives me sweets. I'm not technically supposed to be having the sweet, but it's fine. Just sort of sitting there grumpily is just like, just has this look of like, you can't be this nice.
Solana's like, I'm not this nice. I just do what needs to be done. Don't say you don't. Look at you. You're already working on dinner, and it's only what? 11?
You hear Aisha from a bit of ways say, that's because it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a lot of focus. Something which you should know about. And you just sort of, you end up the awkward third wheel in 2 people hashing out and arguing over food. Basically, you have the grandmother effect where they're like, no, you don't need the measurements on this one. It's like, you need the measurements for this. The rest of this you do by feel. It's like, no one ever does this by feel. You do this part by measurement and this by. It's just basically two grandmas fighting with each other over how their specific take on a recipe is better.
I give a little wink to Maisie while my back's to Aisha and let her get on with the work before she gets told off. So I head away. I take a little handkerchief out of my basket, and just as I'm passing Daisy, I'm just like, jelly left cheek. Just drop the handkerchief to her.
What would I do without you, Solana?
She's already gone. She's the other side of the hall.
As Sister Solana disappears to the other side of the hall, question very quickly before I switch over, Sister Solana, do you regularly do prayers, or is it something that is done in specifically the temple, or is it something that you do in your own time as well on a regular basis? Curious.
Solana follows quite a rigid routine within like the chapel environment, but she's also got like lots of little prayers that she'll do like before eating or you know, maybe before going to visit people, or so just like little, almost like just very brief sort of like good luck kind of things. But she kind of prays. She talks to the goddess all the time.
I have one. I have composed one with the help of my partner. If you would like to read it out with me, repeat after me.
To.
May my spirit overflow with love.
May my spirit overflow with love.
To nourish my neighbors.
To nourish my neighbors.
May my mind be inspired by love.
May my mind be inspired by love.
To uplift my neighbors.
To uplift my neighbors.
May my body be enlivened by love.
May my body be enlivened by love.
To build community with my neighbors.
To build community with my neighbors.
As you finish that last bit of the statement of the prayer, you do hear faintly distant somewhere down the street the laughter of Liara. You've heard this laughter many a time while going through the market. And as it's a very big, uproarious, those kinds of laughs that you hear it and it fills the room in an instant. As this laugh is the last thing camera is sort of paying attention to, as we move over to a more creative type, a more fanciful theatrical type. My dearest Porna, where would Olivia be in this moment? Would she also be in the community center? Would she be out and about somewhere?
Olivia would have been at the community center, but by this point, do you mean by 11ish? By the
Yes.
time all of this is okay.
Yes.
By 11ish, I think Olivia would be at the nearest rehearsal space, if that is part of the community center, which I imagine there's some space in the community center where people can, then yes, I think Olivia would be there, sort of herding cats.
Yes. You do see, for the benefit of our audience, what does Olivia look like?
Olivia is a slight person. Sort of, one might describe her as fae-like daintiness. Has sort of tiny dainty features. Looks like you would probably have found her in like one of those packaged porcelain doll type things in your grandmother's attic or something like this. And she dresses in sort of very plain, like equivalent of t-shirt and jeans kind of clothing, very irreverent towards whatever the most appropriate garb should be for someone who looks like her. She has wild dark purple hair that is fashioned into glistening curls. If any of you have been witness to the curly girl method on a fictional, otherworldly social media platform, which tells you how to maintain your curls. That kind of effortless looking glowy curls is what we're talking about. And she has, when she's talking to other people, I think she uses her hands a lot. She's very like, when she's talking, she's full of energy. But once she has stopped interacting with another person, she sort of, there is a calm around her, because she's just kind of as if she has stepped back into the box and waiting for the next interaction.
You would see that there are a variety of individuals here who have been, as you were doing the cat herding, there are a few fox humanoid individuals. There are some folks who look like they're already partway through like a werewolf kind of transformation and are very public and out and proud about it. You do see a couple of bunny folk, one who sort of deep brown skin, a bit more warmer and kind of yellowish and reddish tones to the skin, like very nice sort of rounded brown bunny ears. Looks as though they very much have like a dancer's build. They're like kind of muscly, very much like if you look at their legs, they're like they could break me in an instant. Not in that way for any of you thinking of that, though you can be. Go right ahead. But very much like think akin to almost a ballerina, where you're like, oh, they're so dainty and so soft. I'm like, motherfucker, these people could kill you. You don't know how strong a ballerina is. It's frightening. Who you would know is a good friend by the name of Cupolo, Qupolo, uses they and she pronouns, and looks as though they're in the middle of talking to an individual who is somewhat humanoid, but has scales all across his body and has horns that are less devilish or fiendish and more like dragon, like curved horns. And the height difference between them is almost comical. The bunny person is about 5'8", 5'10", but 6'3" with the ears, because the ears add a significant amount of height. The dragonoid individual is about 7 feet tall, but also curiously always looks like every time you've seen him, he just always looks like he's dressed in a way that seems like he's always in PJs that always have these like little bird like art motifs all across it, and he's like in bunny slippers, like very dissonant for what his actual like physicality is, because he's a very tall man and kind of silly. You would know him as Yukio.
Yukio, you say very chill, but I'm thinking that bunny slippers are a sign of aggression against bunny person.
The thing is that his partner has pointed it out to him several times, and every single time he just gets a smile that looks best described as a shit-eating grin. Because she's the one who gifted him the bunny slippers. You've heard them talking. They seem like they've been partnered for a decent amount of time, and every single time he brings it up, they get a look of like, why did I allow this? Why did I do this to myself?
There was a time at which it seemed like a good idea, and now here we are.
And now here we are.
Yep. Okay. So are they practicing?
Yeah,
Do
they look as though they're in the middle was you say it was more like a play performance, or is it more of a dance routine? Which would be more amenable to what Olivia focuses on?
I think it would be a play. Probably, I think they're practicing for their submission to a theater festival competition kind of thing. That's happening relatively soon.
Probably within like the next couple weeks, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And they're still just they still need me to be there with a clipboard. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, you're the ones who asked for the help. Come on, guys.
And you definitely see that you definitely see the bunny individuals. You definitely see Kupolo is like trying to like harangue Yukio to actually like pay attention because he seems to get distracted fairly easily. And Kupolo has definitely been putting in the work and is almost right with the blocking, the timing for the scenes, and the pacing. Yukio still needs a little bit of help on stuff. And right as you're in the middle of these things, you see a familiar individual also walk into the room, and there is I'll let you decide whether pure awkwardness or a cold chill goes through your back, because it is if I have the name correctly, is it Jala Sagar? Sagar. How about we go with, let's go with a panther humanoid. Just sort of
Works for me.
They're just sort of there, and it just sort of has a look of like, oh.
Hey, long time no interact. How good morning.
Are you the person directing for these scenes?
I think directing is a strong word. I'm helping out. I'm here. You know, I like to help people who want to be helped. Which is obviously not a thing I just said to you. Anyway, so I'm just here with these nice people, and we are just practicing for stuff they're doing. I don't need to be here at all. Do you need to be here? Are you going to be here? Are you going to be here?
You did Kwame not tell you about the changes to the scene, or at least about today's practice?
You see Olivia's eyes kind of widen with like, really should have checked my messages. And also, I'm gonna kill Kwame. I'm gonna kill him. And then be like, well, that would be a no. I have not seen these changes. Go on, bring me up to speed. Why do you know about them? Why do you know about the changes?
Kwame had asked me to come in and work with you to provide another demonstration. We figured that the folks working on their two-person scene would work best if we had a pair with you. This is awkward as hell, isn't it?
Is it the way I would have chosen to spend my day? No. But is it something that makes sense because Kwame is not an idiot? Sure.
Do you feel like you can be professional enough with me, given our previous connection?
Sure. I'm a consummate professional. Why do you ask? Am I not seeming professional? I feel like I'm being professional. Am I not being professional? And I like turn to like Kupolo and Yukio.
We're all
professionals.
Kupolo definitely has a look of like, whoa, this is going to be a thing today. And Yukio is sort of like, I feel awkward and I don't know. They both have different versions of the same response, which is somewhere in the range of like, oh, this is awkward. I don't want to be here all of a sudden.
And like you see Olivia kind of like take a beat and get like almost overwhelmed with the amount of awkwardness everybody in this room is exhibiting does not help her be less awkward. So Olivia's just going to be like, okay, looks at clipboard, like pretends to be making very serious notes, but is actually drawing Kwame, I thought we were friends. You are the worst. I am going to kill you, etc. on the clipboard, and then goes, right, well, I feel, well, if everybody involved thinks this is a good idea, then great. I'm one of, we should, you're right. We should split up into pairs. You, Jala, why don't you work with, and as to her annoyance, Olivia has forgotten the names of both her friends who are in the room, like that one. And I will work with, and Yukio is like, Yukio. I'm like, yep, I will work with Yukio, and it's gonna be, this is great. We are all on the same page.
Olivia, I would like you to make the first roll of our series. I want
Oh,
you to
no.
roll 2d6 for Defy Disaster. Because if ever this was the situation that called for Defy Disaster, I think this is it. See how this is to determine how well you perform and any consequences that come from said experience. So roll me 2d6. And I want you to tell me, in terms of how Olivia is currently feeling, what stat and approach do you feel is appropriate? So if you're using daring, it's something related to might, endurance, or courage. Swiftness or elegance, it's grace. Charm or social insight, it's heart. Wit would be cleverness or knowledge. And spirit would be willpower or metaphysical skill. So what, given the history Olivia has with John and such, what do you feel is appropriate to roll with here?
I mean, I feel like spirit would probably be a good call. I rolled a 7, but with spirit an 8.
Okay, you rolled an 8. This gets you, the GM will offer you a hard choice or success with a sacrifice. I'm going to give you the following options. Do you want to succeed and look extremely competent, but give your ex the wrong impression? Or do you want to make it very clear to anyone watching, you are not enjoying this person, but you are going to look unprofessional? You get one of these two options.
I will pick the former.
Okay. So, you run through the scene. You're welcome, individual in chat. I come up with spicy decisions for my players whenever I can. Takes me a minute, but on occasion it goes fun. So, you and your ex, Jala, look exceptionally competent. Like, emotion of the scene, whether it's a funny scene, a dramatic scene, whatever the scene that you've chosen to work with Kupolo and Yukio with, it's delivered perfectly. But if there's any given moment that shows like a heartfelt like sense of emotion, whether it be in the script or in just how you deliver it because of how good you are, Jala looks at you and has this, it's best described as just a quiver of the lips, and it's like, and after you get the situation resolved, Yukio and Kupolo take some time, run through it. Seems to go pretty well. Still some spots to work on, but it's going pretty decently. Jala says, I didn't know you still felt that way about me.
I am not always good at knowing how I feel until it is shoved in my face by well-meaning friends. I'm not admitting to feeling anything. I'm just saying I cannot predict how. Maybe the next time you see me, I will be a pillar of strength. But not today. And that's, it is what it is.
You've given me some things to think about. I will check in with you another time.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves. There's a good few moments of just also seeing like Yukio and Kupalo. Like if you were watching the full panel of like you were reading like a comic or like a manga, you just sort of see Kupalo and Yukio at the very bottom of like the corner of it, just sort of like, oh, that happened. That's a thing that happened. And then sort of all of a sudden you see Macy just sort of walk in, just stumble, and is like, all right, have you done all of the performing sort of things? Are you all done with it? Why do you look so red-faced and like someone just confessed that they were interested in you?
Hard work.
Okay, good. Hard work. It means you have an appetite. Are you going to eat with everybody else?
Of course, Macy. I would never say no to a meal that you have definitely prepared for me, that I totally did not forget about.
Yes. I know your memory is not always the best at such. I have tried to provide here, and she pulls out what looks like effectively what I'm going to call a fantasy bullet journal to help get, and it has additional like tips and memory aids specifically for
Yay!
like remembering and keep, and it looks as though she has actually made this for you specifically, that it has on hand in a couple of the pages. Here's shorthand to remember things in case you forget it throughout the day. Essentially, she's giving you like ADHD tip journal
Love
because
it.
it looks as though she has a very similar kind of energy. She will never admit it because grandmothers never admit that they have any of those sorts of things. They will never tell you. They're just different. They are built different. But you can tell she definitely has ADHD. But she's like, here. Never got to have my own daughter to do this for, so enjoy.
And I just hug Macy.
Oh, dear, you are much bigger. Oh, my face can't even reach your tits. Come on, let's carry on, please.
Sorry. Thank you, Macy. I love you.
Just carries on, and as you are able to go and sit down, it's roughly finishing up around the time with where Daisy and Zalana are also sitting down to the table. I'm doing wibbly wobbly time stuff to make sure you're all kind of synced up. We move to our last member who Chitrangada, are you arriving at the center, or do we want to pick up with you at home making your way over? It is your call.
I think yeah, I think it would be best like just she's preparing to go or to make her way to the community center. At this point, she's being less frenetic about things, so that means not doing things until 11.
What is your home like, and what, for the benefit of our viewers, does Chitrangada look like? in the currently, or what do they appear like? Maybe that's a more accurate way of putting it.
So their home is it's a small little outpost looking place that is overlooking a swamp. It's actually, it looks freshly, okay, it looks fairly recently painted, not freshly, but it's been very recently bought and painted and sort of made to look like as homey as possible. It's a sweet little cottage, and it's painted in sort of greens and reds, very colorful, very very cute. Inside, essentially in this little table and chair space that she has, it's a fairly small place, so she has you see this average 5'8" height person who's has a pen in his mouth and is currently flipping through a massive book which has a spine of backfire codes and housing codes and law on the side of it. Um, he's holding the pen in between two fairly large fangs. He has a much broader jaw than you would expect of a human at this point. His skin is brown, with dark green and gold scales going down from his face down to his chest. And he has very piercing, almost piercing green eyes, light green eyes. And he's kind of just right now just kind of making notes, and he's half dressed in this sort of in a one unbuttoned shirt in which you can see the green scales going down, and kind of just it's kind of dressed like in the way you have ever seen all the wannabe like goons or more or like uh people who are like totally hench people in a mafia kind of, but like Italian, like in the just the open shirt way, there's like a chain necklace, and he's kind of dressed like that, and he's making notes in surprisingly very precise and very neat handwriting, like someone who has had a very precise education and it has been beaten into him to write as neatly as possible. And he kind of just slams all the books together, puts them in stuffs them in a bag, and is out running towards the community hall, which is just I would say is just down the road from where he lives.
From the community center is down the road from where you
Yeah.
currently live. Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha. There is you arrive and you see that there is sorry, I'm being slightly distracted by someone in our chat commenting that the entire cast is in fact all hot messes, which is correct. This is the ideal cast. You are all different flavors of hot messes, which is my favorite kind. But you arrive and you see that Aisha has actually has walked up to you and she said, "Oh, it's so good to see you. It's lovely to have you actually here. We're going to feed you." Macy has been climbing up the wall that you've almost been late to eat again.
I believe I have mentioned again and again that there is no need to wait for me, but I am grateful. Also, I think we should also figure out a specific a time quick enough. We need to find a window in which we need to discuss certain issues that might be relevant or we need to rehearse before we go mention certain things during the meeting.
Well, I hope that you're all able to talk over this quickly. I've been hearing some mention from a few friends of ours down in the lower ring, specifically, and you would be given the names of two folks who run a small little cafe in the lower ring. This is for the benefit of the party, of Finley and Angora. One is a Selkie, a fur seal Selkie specifically, and the other one is a bunny folk woman who's a linguist. But you would be told, this is essentially for the sake of expediency and time, you'd be given a breakdown that Aisha, now that you're here, gives you a sense that recently there have been complaints being raised by a lot of different folks who live in what's called the tidal zone of the lower ring. It's referred to as such because when the tides move from low tide to high tide, that's the old reason why it used to be called that. The new reason is because basically it has been established. Excuse me, little dry throat. I'll be getting that. Basically, folks who have been displaced and a lot of the more incoming refugee populations, especially more of the like quote unquote Aquan plain populations, when they've arrived in the city, were being given housing in the tidal zone with the promise that the construction and everything behind it was perfectly sound and could withstand the literal changing of the tides that could be at risk if the homes are not properly created to be washed away, or to have the structures holding them up to keep them safe knocked out entirely. But you get this sort of rundown from Aisha about this whole aspect of the situation. You see also that she very surreptitiously sneaks a plate of an additional sort of plate for y'all to enjoy, that it looks as though it's cucumbers and diced cucumbers and tomatoes that are being served with onions, olive oil, salt, and lemon juice. And it looks as though there's some bits of mint that have been put into there. The mint was not initially there, and you see Macy just sort of do like whatever the equivalent of a squawk would be for a humanoid at Aisha, and adds mint on top of it, like she's fussing around with the final recipe, somehow of still a salad. But you get all of this information. You have the sense that this would be a good direction to go. But you also see Macy doing the grandmother thing of immediately making a plate for you, Chitrangada, and has already like set it in front of you. Didn't wait to see if you were still hungry or hungry at all. Just immediately already set a plate. And it looks as though there is a kind of flatbread, bit soft and dimpled, but it's a little bit hardier and sturdier than something like a pita would be, to give you all a sense of like what the bread kind of shape and consistency is. But she's just set a mound of that there, set the salad down, made a plate for Chitrangada, and it all happens in the span of like 20 seconds. And she just goes, gone.
I have stopped asking. I'm not going to ask anymore. Okay. Is it possible? I'm sorry to ask this, but is it possible that you have some kind of meat available? Something raw that I can eat. I have been attempting to eat in my other form. However, I may be a slightly inexperienced hunter. Then I don't think I'm a very good hunter as of yet. Is it possible that I can get some meat as well to go with the bread?
You watch as Aisha just sort of sidles by. You finish saying that to Macy, because Macy is the one you were able to say this to. Macy is about to turn around, and then you've already see in like a flash, Aisha has come by and dropped what appears to be a plate of stuffed grape leaves that are filled with rice, spices, and a couple of different kinds of meats. It looks as though there's also a small little layer of lamb ribs on that they've been set on top of. Told you they needed meat. I didn't say they didn't need meat. I was going to ask them. It's like, well, why did you ask? You know, at least one of them always wants meat. They just start bickering again. They're not responding to anything. Didn't respond to your question, just sort of did the thing, and now they're both arguing. They're bickering their way back to the kitchen.
So I have asked question. Okay. Chitrangada is nonplussed, but not as nonplussed as she would be because she's seen this before. It's just, this is urgent. We need to discuss this. But okay, they've gone. So he just sits down and starts just the kind of, actually he's going to try and find some kind of spot where he has enough space to like open books and just continue reading, making his notes. So he's going to try and find some spot in the corner to be as unobtrusive as possible.
There would given their community center, it's overtaxed on all the resources that it provides, but there would probably be for the shelters that I worked in, there used to be like a corner that was basically like the computer corner or what have you for students to like sit down and like do their work. You would probably have an equivalent room or space in the community center where you would have some room like of a big table for different students who are working on their studies to do their stuff. No one is currently working on anything right now, so the table is yours.
Cool. Chitrangada is going to make her way there with her bag, put with and the plate of food, and is going to be with one hand making notes and one hand just literally just scarfing down meat, just like just like the big, like the jaw is, the mouth is lengthened, the jaw is like it's fanged, and you can like she's essentially she's a crocodile human hybrid. So she has a lot of control, or at least able to what features she wants to show. And right now she's hungry and she has work, so she's not fully thinking, so her jaw is more lengthened, and she's eating like essentially like a crocodile. She's eating like an animal right now.
The party is assembled and you have the information that I mentioned to everyone. You have some time, but your best lead right now is probably to go see what the situation in the lower ring is. What do you do?
I'm assuming has Chitrangada Chitrangada has he given us the information, like would you have been telling us this while you're eating?
Yeah, I think he would be essentially has written a lot of this stuff down in triplicate or in however many versions that like whoever needs notes has like prepared them, and is like has made highlights as well with yellow highlighter. I lived with law students and I had a law module. I know this. I have done this myself.
I think
So
Daisy definitely knows that when you look like you mean business. Daisy always will like unfurl themselves from wherever they're sitting and sort of like just very quietly with very soft footsteps and then plonk themselves down next to you and just start looking at what you're working on, provided you don't tell them that it's like private. So they'll have just come over and started reading whilst eating maybe their third bowl of food by now.
If you need to understand what that particular sentence means, please do ask. I'll just ask you to give me 5 minutes. I need to figure this one out.
Okay. You know, I think I might got it, but I do enjoy how you explain things, so I'll take the explanation.
He has this wry little smirk on the side of his face, and he's like, okay, I believe that this has to do with, funnily enough, for once, this doesn't have to do with the original ordinance and codes that were set up for the title zone. In fact, this has to do with a later amendment that was made to code 188.15. This is I don't believe that this was neglectful or malicious omission in some way. However, it certainly has been used that way. So, I think I may have found something that we can point out, and then we can argue according to what is this? Yeah, we can argue according to Williams versus Triquetra, that this law that the title zone does require that. I think we have a good chance there in getting the fixes for the title zone.
Great.
Well,
If oh no, okay.
I was just going to say, while Chitrangada is sort of explaining that, Solana's come down, sat next to you, sort of arranging her vestments and all the rest of it, and kind of looking very confused, sort of what we're in the middle of. And then she'll look at you and she'll be like, just one more time, just imagine I'm a child.
Chitrangada legit jumps in her seat a little bit at that familiar voice, just like she did not have this reaction to Daisy, but the minute she recognizes the voice of Solana, she jumps in her seat. It's like, sorry. Still getting used to the.
I got the gist. I mean, I understand there's trouble there. We should probably go and have a look, but a lot of it was.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
People's homes are getting destroyed, and we need to help them.
She mouths a thank you.
If you need me to bring anyone, let me know and I'll get ready. And you know that basically means if you need them to look like a persona, they will shift if you need them to.
This is a fairly glaring omission. So I think that this is something I can argue on my own or without help of sort, but
you'll nail them to the wall. Love it. It'll be great.
And he's just going to whisper to a sister, can you please excuse me for a second? I need to say something to Daisy just in private. This is something to do with some corporate matters.
Absolutely. You could say it in front of me and I wouldn't understand, but I'll move anyway. And Solana gets up and heads away into the sort of center of the hall.
Okay. Daisy?
Yeah.
I am not sure about who my opposing counsel is going to be.
Okay.
If it turns out that it's anyone from the Delgado law group, you know what to you know who to bring.
Consider it done.
Also, you don't have to do this. And honestly, I really should not be this much of a coward, but try and keep sister away from if that situation turns up. I would I'd appreciate it.
I will keep her so very distracted, don't worry.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, I have the notes. I think. Did I finish all my food? Oh, I finished all my food. Okay. I have
Mess
everything.
of ribs nearby. There's the bones are probably broken. Even there might even be a bone or two that's been missing and eaten unintentionally, just in the middle of like. So breaking down this bone is gone.
Also, right now and he's going to step out, is going to like look at go and look for sister for Zolana, just to.
As a quick note, Olivia, were you going to say something earlier, just to make sure you got a word in?
I was just wondering if we could just assume that I also was about to join them, and then kind of just caught like Daisy's explanation was like, cool, got it.
Yeah.
And then when and then when it was clear that they wanted to have a private conversation, when Zolana leaves them be, I would sort of walk alongside her to be like, cool, let's acknowledge that we were both part of that conversation. Totally. And then also left that conversation equally informed.
I think when you walk up beside me, that's Solana's time to jump as well. And she goes suddenly like quite, oh, Olivia. Yeah, so something's going on. I probably need to put armor on. I don't know. I'm going to anyway. How was your dance thing? Sorry. Hi, you were going to say something.
Yes. Do you want to? I mean, I feel like that was a lot of food. Should we have some tea, sit down, not put on any armor, emotional or otherwise, and just,
Yeah.
decompress?
No, that sounds great. Okay. Would you like a bite of my peach? Let's go get tea.
Just had food.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Maybe later. I thank you.
And
Cool.
Solana rushes past towards the table to get immerse herself in pouring tea, so all her hair comes down over her face.
Yeah, Chiranga, I think if you were going to try and tell Sister Zolana something, that event kind of, it's a similar thing with you were going to answer Macy, but Solana is just sort of like, as they've had that interaction, the two of them, it's just sort of been like, so Solana, just, they've walked away equally in gay panic. You've been deterred by grandma energy and gay panic today. These are the two things that have deterred you from talking to people.
I don't know what you expected. I don't know what you were expecting. Walk away.
If I see if Chitrangada comes close enough, I would be like, Chitra, how can I?
Hello, Olivia.
Hey, come join us for tea.
Okay. Sure. All right. Sorry. I'll. Should we call Daisy as well? If you would prefer to have a bigger circle and.
No, everyone.
Yeah, of course. There's absolutely no reason. What? Yes,
Absolutely
of course.
no reason. This isn't weird. Yeah.
No. It's I just I just didn't want you to get to have to feel.
Sit down. I mean, please.
Okay.
So at this point, because both Chitra and Zolana are both awkward around people they have confusing feelings about. My dream mirror self would just be like, oh no, and then would also be like, oh god, okay, well, you know what, we don't have to talk about it. I mean, I just figured we should talk about what we need to do, how you could help me. I mean, I could help you, how can I have words and just like, yeah.
Porna, you've chosen a
I-
playbook that is the worst. That is the worst possibility. You've chosen an empath whose feelings become manifest. This
Yeah.
is the worst thing to pick in a group of nothing but hot messes.
I don't know. I'm a hot mess, thank you.
But
I'd like to think
everyone
that
else knows
own my
you're basically a
choices.
clueless harem
Yeah.
anime protagonist right now.
yeah, because there's like a lot of gay panic. Daisy will swim through the gay panic in gay joy because they don't do gay panic, and we'll just kind of sit down amongst everyone. What kind of tea is it?
Jasmine.
My favorite.
And so now that there has been some balance has been restored amongst the gay panic, I'm also going to calm down a little bit and be like, I'm going to turn forcibly to Daisy so that I can say words again, and then say, we should sort of think about how many people we need and what we should. A plan of action would be great, because if I can be helpful, I'd love to be helpful. If I'm not going to be helpful, I'd rather, if I'm organizing stuff here, that's also fine. Just want to know what my role should be.
We definitely need you.
Yeah.
You're silly.
Need everyone. And
thank you.
Chitra here like clearly knows what they're doing. Well, it sounded like it back there anyway. So I guess, what do you need from us?
Yeah, Chitra, tell us. Formulate an entire plan. On stream. No pressure.
Okay.
I can information gather if you need it.
I was about to start with that. That would be appreciated.
I can crack heads
I
together.
I remember. I remember. If you sorry. That
Sorry about
was
that.
yeah. Yes. So I would appreciate if Daisy did some information gathering. My job here is to be the first line of defense. I am an distraction if required. I have sufficiently filed all the paperwork, enough paperwork to drown them in their own bullshit. If I'm good at my job, and I know I'm good at my job. Olivia, I would need you as well with me. But it's simply to just I need you there as essentially distraction for the opposing counsel, because I am not going to call any witnesses. I just need you to look serious enough to look like you can be a witness. If you can, if it's possible for you, can I don't need a particular persona or from the lower ring. I just need you to kind of look like it. If that's possible. I have in my bag, I have a pack of my mother's clothes. If that would help by any chance.
You want me to project the energy of someone else? I can do, I think.
Yes, I'd like that. My argument is solder tight, quite frankly. But I need you there just to, well, I think the frankest way I can put it is psych them out.
Chitra, while you're in the middle of doing this, while you're having this plan talked about, someone comes into the community center in a bit of a panic. You would actually recognize. I don't think anyone but Olivia would recognize who this is. Olivia, this is a friend of yours who lives in the lower ring. They go by the name of Malik. They are very more and lighter brown, very kind of thick eyebrows, extremely despite not having too many means, extremely well maintained, well like trimmed facial hair. Has this is the best way I can describe it. Has big has like the kind of curves and angles and sharpened hair that really could only be best put on a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist of some kind. Like, is a very eclectic individual, but all of it seems to be in a mess right now and seems extremely panicked coming in. Also looks drenched, like been nearly submerged in water.
So Olivia would rise from her seat when she sees Malik come in, just like sort of move towards him. What's going on? Are you okay?
No, I almost died.
What? What happened?
My home. Well, it was standing in the tidal zone just a little bit ago.
Oh no.
It just collapsed a little bit ago. I nearly got crushed underneath the building. It's great.
Oh God. Sit down. Sit. It's gonna be okay.
I will need to head back. I am just here, just trying to recover. I'm looking for anybody who could give some help to the situation. I need to go. I need to head back as soon as I can to make sure that everyone's okay.
You can't make sure people are okay until you're okay. Sit. Just have something warm to drink. Just dry off before you. We can go. I will head out there. We can go and see what's going on. You just catch your breath, okay?
Okay. Please just check in. Just check in on everyone else if you can.
Yeah.
I think Omar's fine. I think Bilal is fine, but I haven't heard from Dina at all. Just go see if everyone is okay.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. No, of course. And Olivia sort of turns back to the others and says, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna also get the people I was practicing with earlier, if they're free, but you're welcome to, the more hands the better, I think. If you're sort of then like Olivia shifts into Malik's energy of like shell shocked, so is having difficulty with words, so it's just like come.
I take it we heard the conversation.
Yeah, I think we were all sitting around the table, and then like he came in, so
Yeah. It is basically like Malik was not like I'm gonna take Olivia to the side and only tell her no. That they were letting them know that like this is what's happening, and they're just like, they look like they've run a marathon. Basically, they somehow look like they nearly drowned and they ran a marathon to get over here because they didn't really know anyone else to turn to. They're like, this was the first spot they thought of because your community center is well known across pretty much all the rings to an extent. Absolutely. Now, if not by actual resources being used, by at least reputation.
We should leave immediately.
I agree. Okay. All right, we need to deal with the urgent situation at first. Solana, if you could help me, I can go underwater and see if I can rescue anyone or bring up the people who bring up bodies, and whatever else I can scrounge up that hasn't been destroyed by the water yet from their home, so that they have some things resembling paperwork or whatever they need to find homes here. Um, Daisy,
Yeah.
stall for time at the court.
Okay.
You know who.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. If it needs be, go for me as well. You can go for me. All right. Uh, just uh, just procrastinate. I should be back. I should be back before the judge gets mad and calls anything. If he needs to, just let him know that I am allowed according to I am allowed according to uh, uh, he just gives notes. Just read the first line and say that I am allowed according to first be managing rescue efforts. All right.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yep.
City
Everyone.
Ordinance. Olivia speaks up. City Ordinance 25688. You're allowed by that ordinance.
Thank you. Yes. Just let them know that I am allowed to give this priority.
All of this happening, the party splits up into their respective responsibilities. Majority of the group heading to the lower ring. It sounds like Daisy is heading to their respective stalling time at the court.
Yeah.
And with that, we are going to move into our break, folks, as the first crisis has been introduced for the group to handle. That is not simply just a court here. It is a mixture of a court hearing and a situation happening with housing in the lower ring. We will be back shortly. And thank you so much to everyone who's been tuning in so far. Break's happening a little bit later, but there was a lot of little parts that I wanted to give time to. And here's the setup for what is going to be a lot of intensity for this second bit of the session. But we'll see you in just a little bit, folks. Come on back. Hello there, lovelies. It's good to have you back here. I am your resident game master for our Thirsty Sword Lesbians series here of the Severed City. Welcome back to what has been a group of this is what happens when you have a sister, a lawyer croc, gay joy, and exes are a thing, especially in the creative community. Awkward. But the group has been informed that there is a situation occurring in the lower ring, while the group is also in the midst of trying to prepare essentially a legal case and hearing to bring up against issues that are occurring in the lower ring. So the group is making their way through. It is a bit tense trying to make the transition from middle to lower ring, because the borders are not closed, but they are not the most receptive to people moving between each ring. There's a bit of tension. It's not so much guards, it's just folks who are like very much operating on the logic of, listen, I'm just trying to keep people safe, just trying to keep them well. Go on your business, but as soon as you're done, get on back. You have that's kind of the dominant attitude. But again, the transition from middle to lower ring is kind of stark in that the streets are far less slanted, not in as good a repair, and there's definite sense of this is so much a port city. Like the other rings have access and like connection to the coast, but this is very much the section of the city where very much the working classes and a lot of the working folk are centralized in. There's sailors, there's whole folks who are like selling with stands of food. There's whole communities, and especially with some of the new housing developments that have been pushed forward here, there's a lot of space that's being used up that's getting unfortunately kind of tight. There's just a lot of people here. even more so than it used to be. Bustling is not even adequate enough to describe how, for most of you, having seen the development over the past couple of years with the refugee populations coming in, there being so many people here, but going through the streets, smelling so much of different foods, seafood in particular, you head to what is known as the tidal zone. It is very much nestled in a kind of like crescent moon cove pattern, like beach cove kind of arrangement. And the housing is very akin to, I'm trying to think of what the exact country and such as, I think it might be Vietnam, but the sort of like raised stilt kind of homes that are often done right on water. There's a lot of very similar kind of just more fantasy inclined version of that happening here. And you see that there are a few crowds that have gathered nearby, as it looks as though there are folks who are bringing out people, fishing out people from the sea, who thankfully no one has been harmed. No one is dead. Children are perfectly fine, especially considering our lines and veils and such. Like, children are perfectly fine, but there's a lot of kids here who are like crying and really in distress. And I would say, Zolana, especially, the first thing you notice as the group is arriving and seeing everyone in a state of distress, you see in horror, or maybe it's not even so much you see, you hear nearby one of the houses, the stilts holding it up are starting to break. And you hear the voices of people inside the home right now.
Okay.
What do you all do?
I'm rushing straight for that building.
All right. What is everyone else doing before I even start calling for rolls or anything of that sort? Just what are you doing in this moment? Whoever is here right now, what is your priority? What are you doing? Solana, you're running toward the household right away. Olivia, Chitraganda.
Same. I will also head to the house to see if I can get people out.
Chitrangada is going to. Okay, so are the stilts submerged more or less? Or
Some of them, it's very much, you can see like the bottom layer goes down far deeper than what it shows above the surface, but you're starting to see what is going above the surface. The stilts are essentially starting to crack, and you're seeing some of them are starting to try and tip over. They're not fallen yet, but you're very much in the terrible comparison, but it works for our purposes. Think like action movie time, where you're seeing it start to happen right as you arrive.
I am going to very quickly shapeshift, and I'm going to go diving underneath to try and grab on to try and delay the stilts breaking as much as possible. Going to try and wrap my broad tail around it.
Okay. Olivia, you are also running into the household? Okay. What I would like, I will say, here's the situation in additional detail for Chitrangada. As you are going down there, you see that there is actually a pet alligator that is down there, that has been chilling out beneath the household. It is not happy that something has just jumped into the water, and it is very hostile towards you. It looks like it is about to try and bite you as you are going down to go check on people.
I am going to growl, essentially, what the hell? Okay, and I'm essentially going to try and alpha intimidate the the alligator into sodding off, so I can actually try and hold on to the thing. Like, I just like, did you see this?
I was taking, like, you hear it like crock back. I was taking a nap and I was enjoying my day, and now I have a small croc trying to push me away from my sleeping spot. You move. Very temperamental croc.
Hey,
alligator.
man. Hey, Alec, buddy. I am I will leave. I just need to hold. I need to hold these stills. People are dying up there. Humans can't go breathe like we can.
They can breathe for a while.
But I don't want them to drown. How is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, but it's also not my problem.
Yeah, that's why I'm not asking you to help. I'm going to do it.
You're getting in my space, though.
Hey, man, what do you want?
Get out of my space. Stop trying to
No.
interact with my spot.
Look, can you just swim elsewhere for a second? I will personally feed you the best beef that you have ever eaten in your life.
I want you to roll me Defy Disaster here, Chitrana, and I feel like given you're trying to use charm, I think heart is what you're gonna have to roll with here. So roll that. Well, Solana and Olivia, both of you rush into the household, yes?
Yes.
There is an altar that seemingly it is like a nautilus shell swirled around like a central plate that is held up on it's not quite a fireplace because it would be slightly awkward for certain fish people. It would be mildly awkward to have fish people having a fireplace in their home, but the equivalent of like a mantle and such. Like someone is trying to grab this, and in the process of doing that, a portion of the ceiling has actually collapsed on top of them. Meanwhile, there are also in another room, seemingly the partner of this, what you're seeing is, yeah, let's go with that. A Selkie individual. So a seal humanoid is currently their partner, who is also a seal, is struggling with a kid to get them out of the area, and they are panicking, like extreme panic happening right now. They're like, what's happening? What's happening? What's going to go down? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And the little kid is just crying right now. What do you both do?
I think I better do the strong thing. If Solana rushes towards the altar and tries and the bit of broken ceiling to try and pick that up off the person that it's squashed, but knowing that Olivia sort of takes on surrounding emotions and everything, I do just like look at you as I go and like, are you okay? Organize the people out the door. Stay to the edge of it. Stay calm. It's fine.
Solana, I think I'm gonna focus on you, and while I'm helping them, I'm gonna borrow your strength.
You do that. We've got this.
And then, like, I turn to the kid and sort of go, "Hey, buddy, you want a hug? Come on, it's okay." And then kind of like try and just like not actually come into contact, but just be like, and I'd like look up at the parent and go, I'm gonna get you out of the house, and my friend is gonna help your partner or your relative also out of the house. But
He's my husband. We just got married. Actually, we got it finalized.
That's so lovely. I'm so congratulations. But also to
Piece of the ceiling is starting to.
Yeah, I'm rushing
really
straight that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me about it. And like kind of like start like talking slowly. Start reversing.
Sister Zolana, I want you to do for me. This seems like I'm gonna say defy disaster with daring. To me, seems like the best one. Unless you have an argument for a different move that you feel is appropriate.
I definitely think it's daring.
Okay.
Solana's fairly brute force. She passed by the chapel on the way. She didn't put her armor on because she knew she was coming to water, but she does now have her sword, and she's going to kind of almost like use her shoulders to heave up the bits of ceiling and then like prop it with the sword to
try and use it like as leverage to pull it. Okay, Olivia, what I want in your case, because you were trying to comfort them and convince them, I would let you do either emotional support or defy disaster. I would say heart in this one, whichever one you think is more what Olivia is aiming for. Are you aiming to just try and move them out quickly? Or are you trying to reassure them so that they're more amenable to like helping themselves? What is your goal? What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to like get them to move out and like also calm down at the same time so they don't like make any sudden moves that are going to hurt them, if possible. So I was actually thinking that I might try the move mimesis, which is when you observe someone for a short time and then I can ask the question like, what behaviors do you find, non-threatening, and like, how do I get you out of this kind of thing?
Ah, gotcha. What behaviors do you find endearing and non-threatening or and desirable? I would say this is a perfect one for that one. You see that the kid actually has a little it's a little haddock plushie, like a little stuffy that they're holding on to, and is like scared and crying, but is also gnawing on it like it's an actual fish, like it's almost like a teething plushie. And they're just like, and you see the mom is very much like just worried about the kid. If you can get the kid to calm down in some way, the mom will also calm down with them.
Okay. Olivia is trying really hard not to cry because the kid is trying really hard not to cry, and so is like keeps looking up towards Zolana to be like, strong, okay, and then going back and being like, that is such a cool haddock. What's its name?
His name is Fishy.
I don't know why I didn't know that. That seems like the perfect name.
Really?
So yeah, that is the perfect name. I had a haddock when I was, oh my God, you're so tall. I was like this much shorter than you, and I had a haddock, and I called him Tim. Can you imagine? Tim. You have a much better name for yours.
I want you, Olivia, to roll me emotional support, but because you are appealing to the kid's love for his little plushie, I'm going to give you +1 forward for this.
Okay.
So you get to choose between heart or spirit. Roll your 2d6 and then tell me what you get.
Including the +1 I get
Including
is
the
7.
+1. Oh my God. Okay. This is very good. So get the choice between get a +1 forward to keep going with anything else in the scene, gain insight from the GM about an obstacle facing one of you, clear a condition for the mom, which would make it easier for the kid, or mark an XP. There will still be good that comes of this because you rolled decently well. What do you want to choose?
I will clear a condition for the mom.
Okay. So as far as conditions, the mom was definitely frightened. Like she's scared of something happening to the kid, but seeing the kid like having a little smile on his face, he's just, and like the little pipsqueak voice is just like, and you see as the kid is smiling and opening the mouth, it's much more like seal teeth, where they're like a bunch of big gummy ones, and it's just like happily looking at you, and now he's put the whole stuffy in his mouth and is just whirling onto it, and like you gesture out. The mom, oh dear, we just had her drop. She was so broken by the cuteness, she dropped from the call. Oh dear.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Please continue.
You're fine. The kid is in such a place where by now biting the entire stuffy in his mouth, the mom has calmed down. You've removed her being frightened in this situation. The mom is beginning to move out of the household, and it looks like they're going to be okay. Now, Solana, what did you roll for yours earlier? What was your 2d6 roll? What did you get?
So Solana's very strong, but because Chitrangada is arguing with a crocodile underneath the house, there's obviously a lot of movement going on, and it's very difficult to kind of get her support. She's maintaining, she's staying very calm for Olivia's benefit, but still going to get 6 nonetheless.
Oh dear. Okay. That is a 6.
I rolled a 4.
All right. So mark an experience for rolling 6. So defy disaster. So you do not get a hard choice of success, the sacrifice, and I get a GM move out of this. So what are we going to do in this situation? I'm going to give you a choice. Both are bad, and I'm going to let you choose which one goes. The person is obviously clinging to this plate. It seems to be, even from your scant knowledge of mostly focusing for the Loving Guardian, you do know of other faiths. This is essentially to the Primeval Maiden. This is a more Aquan or water realm based variant of religious iconography. Your choice is either the person is going to be trapped longer, which means you specifically are going to be more at risk for getting hurt, or the plate is going to break and they are going to be very resistant to leaving until they gather up all the pieces of it.
I have one quick question before I answer
Yes.
that. Gallant rescue. When you defy disaster that's about to befall someone else, you can either gain a string on them and ask them a question. Does that only apply to players, or is that NPCs as well?
I'm going to let it apply to NPCs as well.
Okay. So I might gain a string on them as well, but that's an aside.
That'll
I'm
be
going to
useful
go
later, but
yeah,
not at
I'm
this
gonna
exact
go
moment.
for the first option because I feel like while I remain with them, their chances of survival are higher. So, and I'm not worried about my own safety.
Okay.
And I know how important, their altar is. I know how I would feel. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna save them both.
Okay. Olivia, I'm going to go back to Chitrangada and then switch over to Daisy's perspective. Meanwhile, oh, they're dealing with this bullshit. Sister Solana, you are trying your hardest, but the sword is just not getting enough leverage. And you're also seeing that, like, the person is holding on so tightly and they're still trying to reach out to a couple of other things. It looks as though they've grabbed a small box as well. That looks like they're holding on too tightly and just trying to hold on to this as best they can. More of the ceiling collapses and it's about to land on their head. You are able to take the brunt of it, because I assume Zalana would be that kind of person to just try and take the brunt of it. In doing so, I think it's appropriate that you also gain a condition on top of this, which
I think so. Maybe
now,
hopeless.
yeah, I think it's hopeless. And this is a question I want to ask related to it to keep in mind. Do you feel you're facing impossible obstacles, or simply that you're inadequate to rise to the challenge? Olivia.
I was just gonna say, if the mom and the kid are like safely at the door or like about to leave, and if I turn back and I see Zolana struggling, then potentially I could go give her a hug. One might call it a group hug because we're the only ones in the room.
An action group hug, I think.
Yeah.
I'm certainly so. I mean, in order to answer your question, I'm going with the I feel inadequate currently because I know strong enough to deal with it all and everything, but sort of under my breath, I'm just like, I wish Olivia was here because she'd know what to say to this person. I haven't got the words to get you to come away.
Yeah. So I would say for group hug, once per session, when you offer emotional support on a 10+, you may forego your choice of a benefit for yourself to let others clear a condition. So this would be, if you want to try and support Zolana, this would be an additional roll, and see if you manage to do it well enough for Zolana. And again, I believe, if I
Save it
remember
till
this
afterwards.
correctly,
I'm okay with the condition until the family is safe.
now, Jadron, how did you roll earlier? How did it go with convincing the croc?
I got an 8.
Okay, an 8. So I will give you if you would like input on possible hard choice to face, I am always amenable to it. The two that immediately come to mind are number one, the croc is going to continue to be hostile towards you, which means you might actually have to like boop the snoot of said alligator. I keep saying croc, I mean alligator. You'll have to boop the snoot of the gator and actually like literally fight this thing. Or the stilts are going to, you are not going to be able to hold up the stilts as well, but the gator is going to see that it's getting worse and is just going to fuck off. So you either get to convince them to leave or they become more hostile, but you get to accomplish what you're trying to do. You'll just have to keep dealing with him while you're trying to help with the bottom situation.
Okay. I think Chitrangada is going to internally sort of. Chitrangada is the worshipper of Seftis, and being someone of worshipping a darker, for all context, god, is you have to make hard choices, and some of those choices are going to leave indelible marks on people's souls. But if they're alive, if there is hope at the end, that means that mark is something that will strengthen them or will become a part of them. So he is going to back away and is going to let the stilts fall just enough to startle the alligator, just so he can work without its interference.
Yeah, the croc sort of like, okay, I really don't get what the big deal. Oh dear God, you just see doing one of the basically doing like croc little float away and just swims out. Chiranga, that there's barely any stability holding this up. And Sister Zolana, I'd say the result of that is that you are feeling more of the house beginning to is now starting to fall into the water itself. Like this person is still trapped and still needs help. And Olivia, you can see that. So while that's going on, we zoom over to Daisy's situation. Now, Daisy, you went to the courts, correct? Do I have that right?
Yes, I think they would have gone into their room, read over whatever bits of paper there were as they were preparing,
Okay.
and then almost like a cutscene as they move from the room, and then there's like a shift as you go to the other side of the door, and their form has immediately changed as
Describe their new form.
So they stand a little taller, graceful and elegant, very femme. They have white hair that ombres into a brilliant blue. They're wearing normally with this persona, they wear glorious gowns and exude opulence. But they have a sort of mantle that's like sharp at the corners of the shoulders, just to give a little bit of businesses. I mean business. I'm here on serious business. And will check nails, make sure they're fabulous, and start heading towards the courts, ready to distract the heck out of someone.
Yes, you enter the courts, and it is, considering the situation, it does not seem as though many people thought it was going to go remotely in the direction of positive for the folks in the lower ring. You come in, there's not too many people. There's an official there. I will say a serval cat humanoid who has cat eyes and everything, kind of has orange, black spotted fur, and seemingly has a necklace hanging over that it is a skeletal hand seemingly holding onto a skull that has a pair of scales in each eye that even Daisy, who's maybe not the most religiously inclined, would know this is a representation of the judge of the dead.
Okay.
Someone who in this inclination is likely taking it to be those who may become dead by law must be judged appropriately.
Feels thematic, yes.
It feels thematically appropriate.
Mm.
But you're there, you bring the case forward.
Yes.
But there is another individual speaking, and you are acting essentially in the equivalent, because scant law knowledge of the GM,
Yeah.
what would be the equivalent of like a defense position, like you're putting forward a case.
Yes.
But the people who are opposing you, you see an exceptionally well put together high femme individual, well dressed, seemingly a mixture of like sea elven and Tritonesque kind of like ornamentation and motifs across the aesthetic of what looks like a very sharp business suit. Her features suggest a very mixed heritage as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also seemingly like has a little like band around her arm that has a phrase that is associated with your area, with your neighborhood of the community district. But you also see she has like a full suitcase and everything, sets it down and is laying out the papers, and you catch upon the like lapel of her pin the name Guillermina Delgado.
Would I know who I could speak to try to call a pause to this, or would I have to just go straight up to the judge?
It would probably be the judge directly.
I'm going to saunter, and she has like a Jessica Rabbit wiggle as she does it.
Of course.
Up to the judge. Hi. I was just wondering, we need to call a pause to this court, if it's amenable to yourself, of course. There's some further evidence that needs to be entered that I think it's really important that you look at. I believe ordinance 2468 it was. I have somebody here that's going to be representing me. They're not here yet. There's a bit of a rescue mission happening, but they will be here shortly. Is that all right?
Before the judge can speak, you hear what I will give you as far as temperament. I'll try and embody as best I can, but bear in mind that the temperament and personality is, I would best describe it as head bitch in charge energy.
Daisy
It's
loves
like,
that.
if you were going to waste our time, you could have just sent a missive of some kind. There's not much to be argued in this case. The ordinance is very clear that they are perfectly in the right to go forward with the regulations on the development of the housing that has occurred in the tidal zone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that saving people's lives was wasting time. How
And
very
I didn't
gauche.
realize that they were sending in someone unskilled and unversed and not versed in our particular manner, not only of speaking, but in the manner of material that would be required to engage appropriately in a court of law.
We have a vast amount of that. And as I said, the legal aid is arriving, but they're currently trying to save lives.
It is a tragedy that such things happen so daily, but we cannot simply ignore the decorum that we must adapt for these measures, nor can we ignore timeliness and such. Civility must be maintained at all costs.
There's nothing civil about letting lives be lost. And to suggest such
there's nothing civil about overtaxing a court that is already dealing with quite a lot.
I didn't
Nor
realize
do
this
I-
court allowed us just interrupting each other. Sorry. And I turn around and just ignore and look at the judge. Is it possible to have a little pause? I promise you it's important.
So here is what I'm going to ask of you.
I do also have a playbook move, but Karen.
I was going to ask that too, because there's a
Yeah.
possibility that if you want it, this to me seems like entice very much. But what is your playbook move you would like to try and go for?
So I have the mask, which is when I try to seek or persuade an NPC of a lie about myself. I have to roll wit, and I have the potential of being exceedingly convincing if I succeed. But I don't know if that'll apply. It's up to yourself.
Say it one more time for me.
So when I seek to persuade an NPC of a lie about myself, I can roll with wit, using the mask.
I like it. I'll let you go with that.
Okay. 2d6 then, plus wit.
Plus wit.
Okay, that's a 9. So
That is a 9.
I can choose one then,
Choose
and not
one.
2 of my things. I'm gonna choose the lie you have chosen is unexpectedly perfect, creating a new opportunity.
You see, the judge there, who let's pick. Let's go with that name. Judge Roderick. Judge Roderick says, Miss Delgado, while I am perfectly aware that this is it is unorthodox for us to be allowing someone else to be speaking on behalf of the legal counsel who, frankly, should be here at an appropriate time, and he should not be ignoring his duties. I must say that you are speaking over our other attendants to this particular hearing, and as such, I will like to remind you of the same to espouse the same civility and attendance to manners that our dear. I'm sorry. What is your name?
I'm Jordana Brinswallow.
Miss Mix Bryn Swallows. Absolute pleasure. I've heard good things about you.
Yes, I'm glad. Thank you.
Mix Bryn Swallow. You will be given a recess of. We'll give you approximately an additional hour to. We'll give you approximately 2 hours to get your full legal counsel here, present, in a presentable manner.
Yes, I can assure you. Yes.
Like cuts you off again.
Yep.
Spouses it. Most of these folks, hypocritical assholes.
It's fine.
Should you not manage to do this, I will consider the case entirely closed, and all potential further claims put forward in regards to this specific matter will be rendered null and void. Do I make myself clear?
Crystal clear. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that the family that are being saved will be so very thankful that you've done this.
Sob stories are not why I'm involved in this. I'm here for the purposes of law only. So while I appreciate your means of speaking, and quite lovely though you may be, you are wasting your breath.
Noted.
We'll reconvene in approximately 2 hours. Ms. Delgado, as you were. And you see this individual is got staring daggers at you, just nothing but absolute malice in your direction.
I shoot her the most sickly of smiles.
There, you watch as she looks at you curiously for a moment, and then you're both like given free go to leave the courthouse and return shortly.
If she gives me a look, I'm gonna like hold her gaze the entire time and then give a saucy little wink.
As Shall we? Yes, we shall. As you walk away,
Hmm?
and as you're leaving the courthouse,
Mhm.
all she says to you as she is about to leave is, "That was a very good tactic you used there. Well done, Daisy." And just walks away.
There's like a moment where there's like a glitch in the matrix, and then I go back to.
You see the cat go by, and then it goes by one more.
Yeah. And my fingers mouse back. And I just find somewhere to avoid fights, and then I kind of see where they're coming, so I can hurry them along.
Yep.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, coming back to this moment. Okay. This will come down to last sort of roles, but to sort of give the sense of the situation, Olivia, you're seeing Zalana like starting to fall into the water because of the household is like tipping and crashing into it. Chitranga, that you are helping, but you weren't able to get to the stills because you had to get the gator out of the way. So now you are actually having someone else. Sorry, let me redo that one. You move the gator out of the way, but now you are also seeing the house has fallen into this place. What are between the three of you? What are you doing? What is your next priority?
The house is completely
It's
fallen, or it's falling?
it's not completely fallen. It's in that point where it's hit the water and it's starting to like sink down into the water. Like you are in the part of it where you are feeling the water come through the bottom and you are starting to go down with it. The other person is still trapped under stuff, and they can definitely breathe and such underwater, but it's not going to be easy or great while still being stuck under like pieces of rubble and such.
How can I? How do you use strings? Can
So
I, if I
use
have a string
strings.
on this NPC, can I use it to my advantage to try and defy disaster
Hold on.
with Gallant Rescue?
Holding that up right now. Influence with a string. At any time, spend a string on someone to do one of the following. Offer them an XP to do something, not relevant here. Find out what it will take to get them to do what you want. Add 1 to your roll against them, or add or subtract 1 from any roll they make. I will say in the roll against them, if you're doing something like emotional support, I would let the string go as a +1 to that as well. I think it's
Good.
perfectly legitimate usage of that. But
Okay.
I would say if you want to influence them with a string, you can spend it and try and either find out or use it for a next roll to try and emotional support and convince them.
Well, I was wondering if I could find out how to convince them to let go so that I can extract them easier, and then I could maybe make a Gallant Rescue roll to defy disaster. I might rush them out the window and sort of jump into the water, but cradling them.
Okay. Solana, you just hear this person muttering. It seems like it's prayers over and over and over.
My
But
friend can swim down and get this.
But you also hear them say, I cannot abandon my faith. What will the maiden think of me if I'm to let one of her symbols break? What would happen? What would happen? Like they're just getting stuck in an anxiety loop and a panic loop, and you're just getting lost in that thought.
Your faith is not tied up in symbols or in altars. Your faith exists in here. We can get this back for you. Come, take my hand.
Just reaching out and is like, you see the look of like resignation and sadness on their faces. They're like, they let go of the plate.
I act immediately to grab them. I would like to roll
Okay,
defy
Gallant
disaster.
Rescue. Roll for that. Olivia, what are you doing while Solana's doing that? What are you doing?
I call out to the dad who who Zolana is rescuing. And I say, sir, I'm looking for a plushie. I believe its name is Fishy. Can you describe it to me? So he gets distracted, but he knows the thing is important enough.
Okay. I'm trying to think. What is your goal here as far as move-wise? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, basically, I think when you're trying to talk to somebody and like get them to be less anxious or less whatever about something, reasoning with them at that moment is not like the only possible thing. The thing that might make it easier to get them to feel less anxious or at least distract them from the moment is to literally distract them into forcing them to think about something that they know like instinctively. So I don't really want him to describe like 5 things he sees around the room or even look at the room at all. I just want him to think about the plushie that he sees all the time with this kid.
You're distracting him from the fact that I'm just about to throw the two of us out of a window. So he's not thinking
Basically.
about that.
Also that, and the fact that
Also
you're
that.
like, also the fact that you're like, you know, this thing that you're, yeah.
Focus.
Faith.
Look at me. Look at me.
Plushie, tell me about Fishy.
Tell me about the thing.
Describe.
Okay. I would say this falls under. I'm leaning towards emotional support on this one as well, if that works for you. That seems in it appropriate to what you're going to. It'd either be that or defy disaster, but more something like wit. I think both of those would be good, like catch-alls for what you're trying to accomplish. I will let you choose which one you would like to go for.
I would like to choose emotional support, please.
Roll for that.
9.
9 on emotional support. You have clear. I will let you choose clear condition from the man, or it says +1 forward. In the situation, I'm going to let you give a +1 forward to helping Zolana if you want to choose that.
Yeah, that makes sense, given that Zolana's trying to save 2 people, including
Zolana?
her.
Okay, well, with Olivia's +1, that's a 10.
With your
Thank
gallant
you.
rescue. Okay, gallant rescue, 10. So let's look at that. When you defy disaster that's about to befall someone. Okay. There, as you do defy disaster, and on a 10, goddamn, you do it with style. The GM's discretion, you may also learn new information, discover a new opportunity, or gain a string on someone. I know exactly what I can give you for this.
Okay. I had an idea, but
What is your idea? What is your idea? I know we're running close to time, so I'm just trying to
just that if it's gaining information that maybe this family has some knowledge about what's going on here.
I was about to say that is exactly what it is. I will say this will be post all of this, but essentially the person you have saved is among the folks who have been looking into the so be more technical end of things, but looking into the insurance group that gave the approval for the construction. They gave the sign off essentially that this was up to code and everything.
Gotcha.
This is someone who's been investigating that. And think of it what you may, but I would say too, this didn't feel accidental. I think you have that sense as I'm going to assume you just straight up strong woman your way out of this whole situation or whatever it is.
I'm just like, hold your breath. And I just throw us out the window, but I'm going first. I'm holding him on top of me, so I hit the water first.
You're the last one here. What are you trying to do to help resolve the last bit of the situation?
Okay, so Chitrangada has already would have noticed that the stilts have not eroded or have not broken due to poor build, they have been deliberately sawed off. He would have noticed that. And he's like, oh, okay. So now Chitrangada is going to make the choice of, okay, try or of he's still holding on to the stilts, but he knows this is going down. One way or the other, this is going down. But he also knows. So he is now essentially going to start looking for anyone who falls into the water to try and essentially kind of using his nose and body to get them to land. He is now going to just start looking to essentially wait and see if anyone falls. And he's already made a note in his head that before the house completely goes down and everyone is out, he's going to go inside and get whatever he can, whatever evidence, whatever anything he can, and he's going to come out of there with one of the sort of stilts as evidence.
I will say, as a way of like finishing out the session, you are able to do that. Like, there's so much else happening that this is something you were able to accomplish without too much trouble. Solana, you managed to get this man safely. Olivia, as you were getting out of this place, you do see, stuck in a corner as though it fell behind a desk or a bed, is the little haddock plushie. You are able to get it out, and the kid like looks at you so happy and doesn't even like grab it with their hands, just goes and like bites it directly with the very gummy teeth. And Zolana, you bring this man fine. Chitrangada, you have the stilt as evidence. Daisy, you are having the nervousness of someone has spotted you. Someone has clocked you in some way, but nothing else is happening right now. You just have the sense that somehow someone's gotten information on you. And Olivia?
I just wanted to check, since Malik specifically asked me to, at some point after this, can I check that Dina is okay?
Yes, you see that another household also collapsed, but no one was in it. And you see that your friend Dina, who I'm going to say is an extremely tall a very extremely graceful, but also extremely tall half giant man, is just sort of looks as though he's exhausted because he's actually fished out 2 additional people, one over each shoulder, and he's just sort of on the ground, like having that look. He has the look of Loki post Hulk smash, of just like, I hate everything.
I feel like Dina and I would have this bit that we do, because I'm so slight and they are not, that we would just, I would come up to them and be like, Dina, you look like you could use a hand from someone truly strong.
Sure. You tell yourself that. Everything hurts so badly right now.
I'm glad to see you're okay.
Oh, I'm glad you're okay too. I got everybody out. I think I'm gonna need some help getting to a healer of some kind. Oh,
Right,
God.
right. So I like crouch down next to where he's like, ugh, and like sort of put an arm on his shoulder and be like, I think we can both agree that the truly important thing is that we got to do this bit.
I adore you. Also, gives a hug. Again, the height difference is staggering. The entire campaign is just height differences, which I'm here for. Tall and small is a classic pairing for a reason, people.
It's true.
But your whole group manages to get to the shore. There's a crowd that's assembled, and you see in the midst of it, just Yeah, let's see. I have to get the full mildly read severely douchebag effect going. Just smoking a cigar. A rather average height, salt and pepper haired. I would say salt and pepper haired, but also like part draconic features, so very similar to Yukio from earlier. But his horns are actually like curved back, and he has one strong pointed one on the top. But he looks dressed. Think J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man. An individual who you would recognize as a local head of a paper by the name of Sidney Gottlieb. Says, well, this is a pretty messy situation. And you have no idea what he means by that, but it does not bode well. And that is where we're going to end our stream, everybody. We're going to spend the last bit, do some quick outros, and then afterwards we're going to be rating D8 Dungeon, who are playing D&D right now. So I'm just going to start with myself real quick. My name is Angela Lamasmogravejo. I've been your game master. You, she, her pronouns, and you can see me tomorrow on Fabula Ultima here, where I'll be playing at the table and not running a game. So that is me. I'm going to pass it on over to our fantastic Hamalu.
It's me. Hi, I'm Emma Hamley on the internet. I brought to you today Daisy, and you can find me in half an hour, or about an hour actually from now, over at Girls Run These Worlds for the finale of our Riga Stars game, where there's some more gay panic, but in a Magic Girl sense. So come join us there if you're free to.
Wonderful. To the ever impressive and daring Sakaya.
I've been Sakaya. I've been playing Sister Solana. I'm currently in the process of archiving an old and long-running podcast, but I have a brand new one coming out in the spring. So you can follow me on Sakaya at bsky.social for news about that.
Our most delightful awkwardness is so a thing and an ever joy in my heart, and to see him play with Purna.
Hi, I have played Olivia, and I can be found as Purna M on the internet, on the website formerly known as Twitter, and on Blue Sky, I guess, as Purna Makes Things. I am doing a bunch of things that I can't talk about, so just keep an eye out for me. Thanks.
Croc with the knowledge, the brooding, and the neurodivergence aplenty, our own fantastic Percival.
Hi, I have been your brooding croc, Chitrangada. You can find me on Twitter and on Blue Sky as on at Dr_Wyborn on Twitter, and on Blue Sky you can find me as Ombre Lesbian Knight. And also, more importantly, tomorrow you will find me playing another game, the last episode of Shadowlight, of our 3-episode series Shadowlight on this. I have Nerds with Dice. On the Nerds with Dice channel, you'll be seeing me playing I did try to play a himbo paramedic, but I turned out to be a very frustrated older brother paramedic at the end. So
Fair difference. Thank you, everybody, for your time. We wish you as much joy and happiness with everything happening in the world, and we hope that you are filled with nothing but good gay feelings after watching this, and know that we send you all the best your way. Find happiness, find joy, and find love wherever you need it, whether it be with a dear lover, a companion, a lover friend, or the community that keeps you alive and strong. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you for second episode next week with most of our cast, because someone's going to a wedding. But take care, everybody.